In today's episode, Flynn is in, but will he play? Welcome to the West Sports Show. This episode is brought to you by TabTouch. The more you know, the better it gets. Download the TabTouch app today. Real punters play here. What are you really gambling with? It is a Thursday, which means I am joined by Woodcock. How are you, Mitch?
I'm well, Quarters. I'm well. Fantastic week leading in. Really excited for this weekend.
Can you believe it's the second last round? I cannot. But the teams have dropped. The West Coast Eagles and the Giants for Sunday's game at NG Stadium. What are the changes?
Yeah, so early on, it's only squads being a Sunday game. So the Eagles only have 3 inclusions at the moment. So Matt Flynn, his chance for his first game since round 4 against Sydney. Hamish Davis also added to the squad after being dropped from the Derby loss, and Harry Schonberg back for what could be another game, having been dropped after the round 8 defeat to Richmond. So only the 3 ins at the moment, no outs yet for West Coast, as flagged by Coach Andrew McQualter at his press conference earlier in the day. The Giants are going to have at least 2 changes. So Jaden Laverde and Xavier O'Halloran are out with injury. Riccardi, Angove, McMullen off, and Stone have all come in. So I expect Stone to definitely play, and probably Riccardi, and maybe one more change. Interestingly, they've named the 2 ruckmen, the Eagles.
Yeah.
Quarters.
So Matt Flynn, so what chance do you have? He's obviously on the extended interchange bench. What chance do you give Matt Flynn of playing his first game since really early in the piece?
Well, round 4 when they lost to Sydney by 128 points, that disastrous defeat. He's been in really good form in the waffle, out of contract. Look, the only reason I can see him playing is because they've got Madden and Briggs in the squad for the Giants. So they've gone with the double ruck. A bit bigger than Bailey Williams and Jack Williams, who, you know, the Eagles have really liked to play as that backup ruckman. Jack did kick a couple goals last weekend. They've also got Cooper Duff-Tytler. Look, I don't think Matt Flynn plays. I think he stays. I think they'll travel with a Schonberg or a Davis as an emergency or 2. But I think it's just definitely an option that they were considering. And also, you've got to reward him for his form. He has been excellent. He was best on ground in the waffle win against Subiaco at the weekend. Had 40-odd hit-outs, 18 disposals, kicked a couple of goals, was just monumental. So, look, really important game for West Coast. They beat the Giants in round 10 of this year, of course, Quarters. Really an upset. Haven't won since round 12 when they beat Essendon, or on an 9-game losing streak. If they lose this, it'll be 10 consecutive losses.
Before we go on, let's get the latest odds from our old mate David Short at TabTouch.
The Punter's Playbook, brought to you by TabTouch.
G'day, Shorty.
How do you do, Quarters?
GWS West Coast, a game of, I don't know what to expect.
Big
West
time.
Coast kick straight, they might be a chance.
They may well be. So the market here, I think, is a little too lopsided. So GWS $1.17, West Coast at $4.90. That line sits at 32.5 points.
And you don't know what you're going to get from GWS, but you definitely don't know what you're going to get from Jake Stringer.
Exactly right. And what a combination, right? So the Giants this season have beaten the top sides, and they've lost to the very bottom sides. They've been really unpredictable. Jake Stringer this season, he has kicked bags of goals against the top sides. And
Destroyed Hawthorn.
And he can sometimes miss against the bottom side. So I don't really know what we're going to get here from Jake, but I will say he's had a pretty reasonable season when you put it all together. 41 goals. He sits equal 13th on the Coleman medal table, and he's clearly been the Giants' best goal scorer for the season. He's gone big in 3 particular games. He kicked 7 against Fremantle, 5 against Brisbane, and the 5 you touched on against Hawthorn. He's paying $2.02 for 3 or more, $3.70 for 4 or more, and $7.50 if he can kick 5 or more. I don't know whether or not that's a good bet or not. We'll find out
Is it
on
a
Saturday
contract
with
year?
Jake. Oh, that does normally help, Quarters. That does
doesn't.
normally help.
Now, your West Coast player to watch. No surprise here. A player many are tipping to be the next captain of the Eagles.
Indeed, and I think probably a wise move. He's much loved by the West Coast community and his teammates. And I think, to be fair, the back half of this season's been really strong for Harley Reid. They can be a little unpredictable from a consistency and number perspective when betting on West Coast, but Harley Reid's been one constant. The last 3 weeks, disposal counts of 30, 34 and 29. The last time these two sides met, West Coast were surprise winners, and it was the 34 disposal 2-goal game from this man, Harley Reid, that helped enormously to get it done for West Coast. He's paying $1.52 to get 25 or more, $2.85 to get 30 or more. He's $1.71 to kick a goal and $4.50 to kick 2 or more. So what we might do is experiment a little bit here. To get 25 plus and kick a goal in a same game multi, $2.48. I think that will happen. But then if he can reproduce what he did last time these two sides played and get 30 or more disposals and kick 2 or more goals, $11.50 in a same-game multi. That'll get me for a little spec this weekend, Quarters.
Thanks, Shorty.
All the best.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
And Mitch, good to see some players retained. I'm talking about Gross. So he's been in and out. He gets a chance to play across a couple of weeks, maybe even the last 3 games of the season.
Yeah, he has. And he was the second highest rated Eagle on the ground last week as that small forward. So kicked 2 goals from 14 odd touches, had a handful of tackles and was really quality there. The Eagles just need to find more avenues to goal. They've really struggled with that small forward role. Malar Murdoch's played as that pressure half forward and kicked a couple of goals. But Jack Graham, the likes of him, Bo Allen's been up there a little bit at times. They've played Liam Baker. Obviously, Elliot Yeo's been the centre square clearances
form
and then
last
gone
week, yeah.
forward. He
Yeah.
was, but that was more as a pure midfielder. Willem Dersma. They just haven't been able to find another avenue to goal outside of Waterman and Shanahan, really. So Gross was a really good option last week. I like the way he played. I think there's a role for him there if he can develop. It's very early on, but his form from the waffle carried into the AFL, so great to see. And I like the fact that they've continued to stick with some of the other guys in this team. The way Josh Lindsay's been playing, it wasn't his greatest game last week, but I thought, he needs to continue on. And Bo Allen, again, was a bit quieter, but he's had a really good string of games. I was surprised Hamish Davis was dropped after the Derby. Deserves to be around. They've got to continue to give these young guys a go while retaining as much of their senior leadership as they can.
Mitch, with a customised home cinema, premium headphones, or an amazing sound system from West Coast Hi-Fi, you don't just watch it or hear it, you feel it. As one of Perth's leading audio-visual stores, their expert team combines professional service with the world's biggest brands like Yamaha, Sonos and Sony to create your perfect experience. Don't miss out. Feel the experience today with West Coast Hi-Fi. Visit them in-store or online. So, Mitch, give me matchups for Toby Green and Jake Stringer. Because when you think about it, this team wins when those two are up and about.
Yeah, so I think Brandon Starcevic has to go to Toby Green. This is what they brought him in for. They brought him in for these big matchups, so he's got to go to him and really shut him out of this game.
When he's in the forward line.
Yeah, of course, but I think he's got to be that man. Brady Hoff, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes into the midfield and tags Oliver. Had a bit of a tagging role on Nick Dacos last week. Different players, but a real tough tagging role nonetheless. Bazo and Cadman, Gruzevsky with Tyler Young was what I expect. And then, like you said, you've got Stringer there. So how do you look at matching this one up? It's an really interesting one for me. And I wonder, maybe you have to stick a Hoff and stick him back in defence and not tag Oliver. Like he's a really tough matchup because if you put someone too small on him, like a Baker, he's going to out-wrestle and out-maneuver him. If you put someone too big on him, like a Bazo, he's going to outpace him and outwork him at ground level. And Stringer can... Geez, if he has a day out like he did against Fremantle, he'll kill you. And if he has a day like he did against Essendon where he missed about 7 shots on goal, he'll hurt his own side. So they've really got to keep an eye on him. It's a really tough matchup. I'm curious to see where they go with that one.
You mentioned Marcus Herbert before, averaging 28.2 disposals over the last 4 rounds, ranked 3rd for general defenders. What a fantastic impression he's made on that West Coast side. We mentioned Elliot Yeo, terrific bounce back to form last week. Harley Reid, 15-plus contested possessions in each of his last 7 games, the longest active streak and the longest ever streak by a West Coast player. A lot of talk this week. Andrew McWalter in his regular spot on Channel 7 on Monday evening saying he's, definitely got some captaincy potential, and we've been rolling out stories all week. Spoke to his coach at the Victoria Country National Championships. He had him for 2 years. I spoke to him today, Paul Corrigan, talked about the leadership qualities that Harley displayed at a very young age, not only his on-field stuff, but his off-field stuff, his ability to get players together and on the same page, particularly not just the all-Australian candidates, but the 18th, 19th, 20th players picked in that Vic Country side. So he was a rap for his leadership qualities at a very young age, and I think we're seeing him develop. But I'm still one for maybe just wait for a year or two because it may be too early for him.
I can see him being a future captain of the Eagles. What I will say is on-field leadership-wise, he's got every element.
Yep.
I'm sure in the locker room he's also there. Being a captain of an AFL club and being captain of the West Coast Eagles.
Yeah, it's a big add-on, isn't it?
It's a bigger thing than just being a guy who runs out first, tosses the coin and inspires your teammates on the field. You've got to do... You're the face of the club. When the club loses by 10 goals, you're the one who talks to the media after the game. You're the one who fronts the presser on Tuesday. You're the one who makes TV. You're the one who gets the concentration. Your performance is and Harley's performance is already under the microscope massively at 21. It's doubled. I think he's so important. His performance is more important than his leadership at the moment for West Coast. I think the leadership will naturally grow. I'm with you in that I would like to see him in the leadership group next year.
Yeah, I think in addition to the leadership group, I mean, I think there's no reason why Harley and Ruben Ginbey, for example, can't be co-captains down the track. But right now, are you happy with the current captaincy, Liam Baker and Liam Duggan?
Yes, for two reasons. One is, and I know the form of both of those guys has been well down this year, and let's make note of that. But they're protecting the younger guys. Liam Duggan's a very level-headed human being, a very nice human being as well, but he understands that his form isn't the be-all and end-all, it's the young kids. So if there's a loss, he can front the media and back the young kids.
And does it very well.
And does it very well. Liam Baker is so stoic and competitive that, I don't think his body's letting him do what he wants to do this year.
Won the BNF last year.
He did, and he looks a bit sore to me.
Yeah.
Quarters this year. He doesn't look like Liam Baker.
People do forget he stepped in a difficult role, in a difficult circumstance, and won the John Morsfeld medal.
Exactly, but he just looks sore to me this year, Quarters. Something doesn't look right. And so those two, for me, have been excellent leaders in that vein. I'm sure behind the scenes they are. I'd love to see Ruben Ginbey elevated to vice captaincy next year and basically touted there. And if Harley is that as well, potentially, I can see those two being co-captains one day. I don't think you can discount Ruben and being in that discussion as well. If I know you've spoken to Ruben, I've spoken to Ruben many times, and his evolution he's always been a lovely young man. His evolution into a leader and a stoic human being who is really mature is just, I marvel at the fact that he's 22. I forget that he's 22, probably because of the sheer bloody size of him, but also just the way he talks. It's incredible in his maturity. So, yeah, but look, I have no doubt that one day the number 9 will once again lead the Eagles out. I can see it happening. I just don't know if it's as soon as next year.
Can you make a case for the West Coast Eagles to win on the road, and how important is it? I think it's important for them to have a wink just to frank their obvious improvement. Clearly they're a better team than they were, but you still got to get W's.
Yeah, I think they've only won, 4 of their last 51 away trips or something ridiculous. They beat the Giants earlier this year. The Giants are injury hit. The Giants have a real strong one-wood. We know that. It's that orange tsunami. It's that run from halfback.
Also got a penchant for coughing up a shocker when it's unexpected.
Exactly. But if you cut that orange tsunami out like teams have, and like West Coast did earlier this year, they're easy to score against. Sam Taylor's in fantastic form. You expect him to go to Jake Waterman. But outside of that, West Coast might be able to score heavily. But do the Eagles have the ability to put on a score if Jake Waterman's not kicking 5? That's the other question. This is what makes this matchup so fascinating for me, Quarters. And like you said, if they don't win, I can't see them beating Hawthorn in the final round when Hawthorn are fighting for a top 4 spot. That's 11 consecutive losses headed into the offseason.
So it's got to be this week, really.
I thought it had to be last week. It really now has to be this week. So I can see the Eagles winning. I think the Giants will get it done just because of their home on NG Stadium, and this West Coast side, last time they went there, got absolutely pants by the Giants, and Jesse Hogan kicked 9 goals that day. I'm going to back the Giants, but I can see West Coast walking away with a win.
You're saying the West Coast should turn them into soggy oranges, or the orange tsunami should become like a half-eaten Jaffa? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know what you're saying.
Jeez. So I'd like to keep you on your toes, Mitch.
Oh, do you mean? So, yeah, okay. Yep.
All right?
The chocolate?
Me? So who are you picking?
Are you talking the chocolate?
Yes, I am, mate.
Yeah, okay.
Who are you picking?
Giants.
So am I.
I want a chocolate.
This episode has been brought to you by Tab Touch. The more you know, the better it gets. Download the Tab Touch app today. Real punters play here. What are you really gambling with? And remember, you can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube Music. Mitch, have you caught your breath?
I'm just going to go see if the vending machine's got Jaffas.
Talk to you next week.